All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to unpack a really fascinating and intense logical puzzle from the Talmud, which is, of course, a central text of Rabbinic Judaism. And it all comes down to a super tricky question about the power of a single thought. So let's start with a question. You ever wonder how much our intentions really matter? Well, what if a single, stray thought about something you were gonna do next could completely ruin a sacred ritual you were performing perfectly right now? That is the absolute heart of the problem we're diving into. Okay, so picture this. You have a priest. He's performing a ritual sacrifice. And his actions, they're flawless, absolutely perfect. But in his head, he's already thinking about the next step, sprinkling the blood, and he's planning to do it for the wrong reason. So the big question is, does that future bad thought somehow reach back in time and contaminate a perfect action in the present? Now, this whole debate really centers on two major figures, Rabbi Yohanan and Reish Lakish. So you've got two totally different ways of looking at how intention works. On one side, Rabbi Yohanan says that a thought is powerful. It can actually travel from one part of the ritual to another, almost like a contaminate. But Reish Lakish, he pushes back hard. He says, no way, an intention is local. It is tied only to the physical action you are doing in that exact moment. That's it. So to prove their point, Rabbi Yochanan's supporters pull out this classic, powerful logical tool called an a fortiori argument. The idea is actually pretty simple. If a rule applies in an easy, less serious case, then it should definitely apply in a harder, more serious case. You know, if it's illegal to drive 10 miles over the speed limit, it is even more so illegal to drive 50 over. Makes sense, right? And you can see this process in action right here. First, Rav Yormeah throws out a comparison. But boom, Rava Bar Achalai immediately shoots it down. He finds a critical flaw in the logic. So they adjust. They try a new comparison. But then another scholar, Rav Ashi, spots a different flaw. And this is how they work. An argument isn't considered valid until it can survive every possible attack you can throw at it. Finally, after all that intellectual sparring, Reb Ashi lands on the perfect comparison. He finds an analogy that is so structurally sound, so identical to the original problem, that it holds up against every single objection. Through this incredibly intense process, they've built what they believe is a logically airtight case for Rabbi Yochanan's view. But just when you think the case is closed, the other side comes in with this absolutely brilliant counterpunch. Rabbi Illa, arguing for Reish Lakish, basically says, whoa, hold on a minute. If your logic is so perfect and obvious, why does the Torah even need to state this rule out loud? He argues that the only reason the verse exists is to block that exact kind of logical leap. It's a fantastic move, using the sacred text itself to dismantle a logical argument. Now, this style of point-counterpoint, it wasn't invented for this debate. To really get the method here, we have to rewind and look at an even earlier, legendary debate between two other scholars, Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Yehoshua. They got locked into a very similar kind of logical battle. Rabbi Eliezer's opening move seems really strong, right? He connects two different offerings that are both meant to atone for sins. His logic is simple. Same purpose, same rules on intention. Seems pretty solid. But Rabbi Yehoshua is meticulous. He immediately finds this tiny technical difference in the ritual, where the blood goes. Now, to him, this isn't just some minor detail. It's a fatal flaw. It's enough to prove the two things are not the same, and that just breaks the whole analogy. Rabbi Eliezer doesn't just give up, though. He pivots. He's like, okay, fine, forget the sin offering. Let's look at the paschal lamb offering. See what he did? He found another example that fits Rabbi Yehoshua's objection, trying to patch the hole in his argument. And you guessed it, Rabbi Yeshua does it again. Incredibly, he finds another unique detail. The paschal offering is tied to a specific date. The guilt offering isn't. It's another distinction, another broken comparison. He is refusing to accept any analogy that isn't a perfect one-to-one match. You can almost feel Rabbi Eliezer's frustration at this point. He retreats all the way back to his very first argument, trying to reset the debate on what he thought was solid ground. And this is the final move. Rabbi Yehoshua points out that they have gone in a complete circle. Every single example Rabbi Eliezer brings up has some unique flaw that makes it a bad comparison. They are stuck in a logical loop, and the argument simply can't move forward. This table lays out the battlefield perfectly. You can see all the variables Rabbi Yehoshua used as his weapons. The blood placement, the fixed timing. For every similarity Rabbi Eliezer found, Rabbi Yehoshua found a fatal difference, proving that in this kind of rigorous logic, close enough is never, ever good enough. So after all of that, that intense, incredibly detailed back and forth, what was the actual point? Were they just trying to win an argument about some ancient rituals? Well, the answer is no, not at all. This is the key right here. The goal wasn't just about finding who was right. The goal was to build a system for finding the truth, a method of thinking that is completely rigorous, totally transparent, and just brutally honest about its own flaws. And here is the very toolkit they were building. Objections? They aren't seen as attacks. They are essential tools for making an argument stronger. You have to stress test every single assumption you have. The real value isn't in winning, but in the meticulous, intellectually honest journey you take to get to a conclusion. Ultimately, this ancient way of thinking teaches us to look past easy comparisons, to hunt for those hidden variables, and to be so much more precise in how we think and argue. And it leaves us with a pretty big question for today, doesn't it? In our world of hot takes and polarized shouting matches, what kinds of problems could we solve if we argued with this much rigor and this much mutual respect for the process itself?